Save yourself from the confines of a 9 to 5 and living the rat race within the matrix. Guys, today's video, I am going to tailor 5 specific altcoins for you that are going to be game changers in 2025. And I mean that in every sense of those words. So these aren't just projects I've just chosen for you today. I've handpicked these. I know these are going to be great projects for you. And I'm really looking forward to see how they perform over the next bull market. And guess what? I've actually got 2 surprise bonus altcoins at the end of the video for you as well. Let's not waste any time now. Jump into exactly what I'm talking about. The first project, as you can see on this list, is Flux. Flux is a decentralized cloud infrastructure project, which is going to be more and more utilized as time goes on. Now, very low supply of only 440 million tokens. They have a great economics model as well. Proof of work, proof of useful work actually, which is fantastic. It actually is better than other proof of work such systems. And over the last 12 months, which is an important metric I'm going to look at in every single one of these projects because it's pretty much since the bear market started, we can see we're at lows right now. Like, look at this. Again, this isn't a bear market. We are literally almost at the lowest point it has been by literally off by a few cents in the last 12 months. All right. And if we click all, yes, we are a little bit up right now from where it has been in the past. But, you know, guys, that was a 10x difference here since its inception, basically. So I'm telling you right now, Flux is like essentially, I'm going to use the word quotation here, better version than Render because it just does more and it's its own network, right? And it also uses that computation a lot better. So a lot to go over here. Essentially, if you guys haven't checked it out, I'm going to leave the links in the description for this video here I made about a week or two ago about Flux, getting right into the nitty gritty of it. It's only about a 17-minute video, but this page here I think was really, really important. And it's something I pointed out is going to happen as time progresses, and that's regulation. So as the space gets more regulated, what happens in that case? Well, all of our infrastructure, all of our nodes and things like that in crypto, they're all hosted on centralized cloud infrastructure. So as regulation comes in, of course, Amazon, of course, Microsoft, of course, Google is going to crack the hammer and say, hey, you nodes, you got to switch off because we're not going to host you anymore because you're affiliated with this cryptocurrency or crypto in general. And therefore, there's going to be a mass migration, I believe, to Flux nodes, and Flux can handle that, which is an important distinction to remember. And so when all these nodes come over to be hosted on Flux, that's what I think true demand is going to come in. And also, and as far as I'm aware and Flux is aware, it's actually not a security. And it's been audited by 2 different very reputable auditors in this space. Nothing is guaranteed, of course, but it is just good to know that it is proof of work, it is fair mined, and so obviously it's perfect for this sort of thing, right? So Flux is definitely a very, very big player in this regard. Now, project number 2 is none other than Polkadot. And why? Well, guys, hear me out here. Over the last 12 months, it's pretty much, again, we're at its lows, right? So it's only ever time it got lower than this was somewhat recently when it dropped down to $4.30, which I can't even comprehend. That's so good and cheap, right? But you know, but not even $1 up from that price, which is still a good time to buy, okay? So we're at about $6.3 billion market cap. And just remember, all these tokens are in circulation. All the initial vested tokens are out there, right? So all we're looking at now is emissions, gradual emissions. It's more or less about 10%, but it is going to go up and down slightly through governance. Nevertheless, it's not too bad, right? And actually, it's very interesting because Polkadot had its decoded, right? So where Gavin Wood came out and kind of gave some more updates, which was pretty important because everyone thought Gavin had left for good. But he actually gave a really good indication of the future for Polkadot. And they're moving away from this blockchain, right? They're moving away from the blockchain narrative and they're moving now into block space, which is a first. And guys, Gavin created proof of authority. Gavin's been around. Gavin co-created Ethereum. This guy's a smart man, and I think he's probably sick of retirement, so he's coming back a little bit here and helping out. He's got some really good updates he's actually gone over, and overall, the whole decoded event was a wealth of knowledge for Polkadot. So this space is going to grow, right? I think we all know that. I think 2025 is going to be a massive game changer, and I think 2030 it's going to be a big one, right? So Polkadot's on the board for me. Also, I might want to say, Kusama is equally just as good as Polkadot. Obviously, it's got a lot better tokenomics, a lot less tokens in circulation, therefore more explosive potential over the long term. But, you know, I do think Polkadot's up there as well. Now, number 3, it's Polkadot affiliated, and that's Moonbeam, okay? So Moonbeam is, again, almost at its lows. We were at its lows like, what, about a month ago, if that, okay, at just about 20 cents. And that was its all-time low, right? So we're pretty much at all-time low levels. I couldn't think of a better time for dollar cost average. Of course, this is not financial advice. And guys, it's pretty much the same, right? It's mostly working off the emissions. Of course, it's got, tokens still being vested. It's still quite a new project, but nevertheless, I don't think that it's going to have a massive sell-off anytime before 2025, right? And there's also been some very big news for Moonbeam as well. You can see an ongoing theme here. We're looking for projects that have things going for it, not just static, not just sound cool. They need to actually be progressing. And recently, Uniswap v3 deployed on Moonbeam. It hasn't actually, it's not released yet, but it has deployed. It's ready to actually be released and be used, which is very important because, well, this means that all of the demand, all of the affiliated demand for DEXs should hopefully flow through Moonbeam on Polkadot. And of course, Polkadot is a very well-established and connected network. A lot of different networks have found their way back into Polkadot, and that is the overall goal. It's to be like the center of Web3 in a way. And I definitely do think Moonbeam is going to seriously pick up a lot of demand coming into 2025. It's going to blow a lot of people away, and that's why a lot of people are big bulls on Moonbeam. It's so expansive, right? It can allow for so much complexity. It can combine smart contracts and pellets, which are two different types of ways you can create applications. Smush it together and do even more, right? And it's highly interoperable as well. So it's just a perfect breeding ground for dapps. And that's why it's had so much growth over the last 12 months, truly building in the bear, right? Fantastic, again, also because all-time lows. And number 4, guys, Gala. And I know you might be thinking, Karen, we don't want to hear about Gala. We're all sick of it. We were happy a month ago. Now we're all angry because of V2 upgrade. I get that, right? A lot of people got burns in Gala V2, and I can understand the frustration and anger towards Gala because a lot of you guys that didn't, time that correctly and you weren't on the right exchanges or on the right wallets and you actually lost your Gala tokens. I get that. I'm not going to sit here and say to you, look, this is fine because of this, that, and the other. No, that's some seriously bad stuff, and I really do feel sorry for those of you who are. But for those of you who are looking to maybe make an investment in Gala, well, get this. The team burned 21 million damn tokens. They burned all their tokens, right, as you can see here. It was about $630 million worth. So all the team knows now is to just build a great product because guess what? That's how they make their money. They don't make their money now from selling their tokens like other networks do. No, it's purely based on how quality the product can be and products, essentially, if you look at the games and the film and the music. But ultimately, guys, they don't make money unless they make a good product, right? So I find that extremely, extremely appealing. And so we look at this sort of circulating supply over here, and the max supply is 50 billion tokens, but they burnt 21 billion. So there's only about 39 billion able to actually be used. A lot of that is locked away on exchanges and things like that. So realistically, guys, we're almost there. We're at 24 billion tokens. Again, technically the new max supply is 39 billion, right? So we aren't too far off in that case. So keep that in mind. Now, again, over the last 12 months since the bear market inception, we're pretty much at lows again as well. Over here at the start of this year, 2023, we were about 16 cents. Right now, 1.6 cents rather, now about 2.4 cents. So again, not too far off. To me, perfect DCA time. I think we'll definitely see the all-time high again. In my opinion, we definitely will see the all-time high again. I just think people that are a bit burnt right now might be a little bit disincentivized, but ultimately, guys, it's some very good fundamental facts that go into supporting that sort of price prediction. Now, last, at least on the official top 5 list, we have Chainlink. Okay, so you might be thinking to yourself, Karen, you talk about Chainlink just as much as Quant and Hedera. Why the hell are you talking about it again? Well, it's for a very good reason. You see, over the last 12 months, Chainlink's been pretty much moving sideways. I think we all know this. Along this channel, it looks kind of crazy to look at from a outside perspective, right? It's almost literally a flat line. But I do think this is for a good reason. The reason why Chainlink is so heavily used in this space, literally, it's like one of the most used networks out there. If you took Chainlink out of the market, this whole damn space would be just as upset as what would happen if USDT collapsed, right? So I think it's definitely because their token model is horrible. They haven't been able to capture all that demand, right? You think about a real life situation where you're a kid at school, right? And we've all had these kids at school where, you buy a box of chocolates and if you might buy that for $10 and you go to school and then you sell them for, $1 a markup, for example. So you end up making, let's just say $100 over time, right? We've all had that. Either you were that kid or you know that kid is probably quite rich right now, right? Proper business mindset. But anyway, and you can imagine the equivalent of having a bad token capture model, like being that kid coming to school with all those chocolates and then selling them for the same price they bought them. So you're just wasting your time, essentially. And that's what it's kind of like having a bad token capture model, right? A bad sort of mechanism in order to capture the demand happening on the network. So you're just kind of existing. You're not actually benefiting yourself, and if that makes sense. So what Chainlink has done here is essentially going, we're sick of this. We're going to start making some profits, or at least just make the price go up accordingly. And so they're bringing out Chainlink Economics 2.0, and they've actually used words that I throw around here all the time, right? A lot of you think that I just talk crap and just don't know what I'm talking about. No, I'm being serious, right? So value capture is the two magic words I always talk about on this channel, right? And they're focusing on capturing that value, that demand that's being spun around the network through their Economics 2.0. So they're looking to build, scale, and stake, right? They're just different bonding and staking mechanisms as well, because Chainlink is an ERC20 token. There's only an extent of what they can do, but they're working with what they can basically, and staking and bonding are good ways to take tokens out of circulation. They're also, just as importantly, coming out with like a new almost sort of interoperability layer, right? Something that's kind of can compete with Quant within the Web3 space called CCIP, Cross-Chain Interoperability Protocol, that is, in my opinion, going to make a lot of other interop networks obsolete. Not Moonbeam, for example, or Polkadot, but I'm talking about one specifically, okay, we connect A, B, and C networks, and that's our sort of use case. ThorChain might be a good example of that, right? ThorChain being like that interop DEX in a way. It's going to definitely challenge that because they're bringing out their own DEX within it as well. So there's a lot going on for Chainlink, and if they capture the demand from the CCIP as well, which is what they are focusing on, there's going to be massive upside potential here for the people that hold Chainlink, especially for those updates, right? So now the two bonus ones I have here are not going to be a surprise to you guys. Quant is the first one, right? So Quant, again, if we zoom out the last 12 months, check it out. I mean, we are pretty much, again, at its lows since the year, which is crazy to me because Quant's had the biggest news in crypto this whole year, right? Partnering with the Bank of International Settlements, the central bank of all central banks, and also it's just released its Overledger network as well, which, mind you, has not come at a coincidence. They have launched their Overledger because they're working with central banks now, right? And so they need the Overledger to be used in the entire economy, or at least as many economies as possible with specific small to large enterprises, so that when the central banks decide to pull the trigger on CBDCs, they're already connected. They can just sync right up, right? You can imagine how hard it would be for central banks to say, hey, we're doing a CBDC thing. I want all the businesses in the economy, whatever economy that might be, to connect to our ledger with Quant. Now, that's going to be a process that takes many years. So Quant starting now for 2030 makes little sense, right? It did not come at a coincidence. Let me tell you that. You guys will definitely have to mark my words on this in 2030. So yeah, anyway, lots of happening for Quant. It's only going to go up in price from here, and I think 2025 will see some demand happen for Quant, true demand in 2030, but I definitely think those who hold Quant are making, now again, don't quote me on this, not financial advice, of course. It's, in my opinion, as safe as a bet as you possibly can come in crypto for as low market cap as this, right? And again, this kind of confirms it, right? So only, where is it? About, they have a date on here somewhere, I'm sure of it. Yeah, 27th of June. So only about 2-3 weeks ago, they announced this sort of stuff, right? So the last project, again, no shock, is HBAR. Now, let me tell you why HBAR's on this list. I've got some important news for you as well. So right now, we're below the price I deem acceptable to begin dollar cost averaging. I've always said 5 cents is a good time to buy. We can see right here in the last 12 months, guys, I mean, the only time it was lower than this was the start of the year at about 3.5 cents, right? So yeah, we're not too far off that point. And so in my opinion, HBAR is a fantastic project. It's going to be one of the best. Again, the analogy you probably guys are sick of me using at this point is like, if you could imagine HBAR versus like all other dapps, blockchains, and even consortium networks like Hyperledger Fabric, Quarter and Quorum, like the enterprise private networks, it's like they're all blockchains or dapps or some variation of, proof of work, proof of stake, whatever it might be. And this is the only hash graph ever. Okay, so and it's optimized for important things that are highly demand based, like supply chain management and IoT. And so with this hash graph, it's like you imagine being in a police station and having a lineup of 99 pink people and one green person, and you'd be like, well, where are you going to start? Who are you going to start looking at first? Well, you may as well get the green person out of the way, and that's HBAR. As a business, you're like, well, what's this hash graph? Let's look at this first. Point in case. So that's not the only reason, of course, but HBAR also has a very important update that I don't think people are talking about a lot, and that's Jogget is enabling, well, this is kind of old news, but it's been re-established recently because it's actually coming onto the network officially, right? Activated. Jogget is going to be enabling no-code/low-code dApp deployment on HBAR. which is important, right? As a layer one network, as a network focusing on bringing all the demand from businesses, while businesses use, well, typically they're not even really on, the World Wide Web or on the internet. And so when they do decide to come on through the pivot, I think they're going to have to obviously employ developers. Well, obviously it's pretty important for developers to easily understand the code, right? So low code dapps are going to be pretty important. And also, if you're someone who, like myself, is got a great imagination, you really like to think and then, try to create something, but you tend to come into the situation where you don't know, or you have to learn a big skill set, or like spend lots of money on developers. Well, this is going to help. You can create, dapps with apparently no code to a degree. So that's pretty important, right? To let your imagination run wild. I might have a really cool idea today about doing some cool mechanism for the community, and I can do that on HBAR, right? So it's very important you look at the project and then look at what they're actually doing to service that market. And in this case, something like this wouldn't really make sense on Chainlink if that could even happen in the first place. But it makes perfect sense on HBAR to where they're headed. So guys, that is going to do today's video. Hopefully you have enjoyed. Please check these videos out, check these projects out rather. I'm going to put the videos in the description for each of them because I have reviewed all of them individually. And please like if you have enjoyed, subscribe for more daily content, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.